In mining, growth can come from the drill bit, or it can come from acquiring the right asset at the right time. So, what makes this deal stand out? Today, we're looking at Central Asia Metals' proposed acquisition of Cygnus Metals and what it could mean for the company's future growth profile. I'm joined by Gavin Farrar, CEO of Central Asia Metals. Gavin, welcome to the watch list.
Thanks very much, Ricky. It's great to be here.
So tell us, Gavin, you've announced the proposed acquisition of Cygnus Metals. What excites you most about the asset and its potential?
We've been looking for a long time, Ricky, for an asset to add to our portfolio. We've currently got two operating assets and a bunch of exploration stuff in Kazakhstan mainly. Adding to that asset portfolio has been a key sort of strategic goal of the board for a long time now. So we were very excited to find a high-grade copper gold asset in North America and Quebec. So it's in a great jurisdiction, gives us some geographical diversity. And it's a development asset, so it fits neatly in between the operations and the exploration. It's at that exact correct point where CAML can bring all of its relevant engineering and operating experience to bear. So we're super excited about it.
And we're seeing increasing competition globally for quality copper and critical minerals assets, particularly as electrification and infrastructure investment continue to drive long-term demand. What strategic advantages does this acquisition bring to Central Asia Metals' long-term growth story?
Well, as I said, we've been looking for a long time. So, you've got to kiss a lot of frogs. And this one certainly stood out to us because it's at that PEA stage. So we can really drive it up the value curve as we develop it and do study work and more drilling. It's got a great suite of land package around it. So, good exploration potential, and also the deposits themselves that we're going to be targeting are open along strike and at depth. And the key thing for CAML is that it really provides some growth into our portfolio. As I said, the two operating assets are, they are what they are. We continue to sort of work on those and drive more efficiencies through the copper assets at Kunrad. And, we're exploring all the time at Sasa, the lead zinc mine that I'm currently visiting. But having an out-and-out growth asset is really going to sort of give a value kicker to CAML and ultimately the combined group if the transaction does go ahead.
And ultimately, investors want to understand how a transaction translates into value creation. So in simple terms, if you could, what does this acquisition mean for both Central Asia Metals and Cygnus shareholders?
Look, I think it's a win-win for both sets of shareholders here. The combined group, if it goes ahead in September, is going to have those two cash-generative assets. Now we've got copper and zinc that are at almost historic highs, and the copper asset is in the first quartile in terms of cash costs. So, we're going to be generating a lot of cash as a business. And what that means for the shareholders is that we can develop and construct the Chibougamau asset with minimal to almost no dilution. I think that is a key thing. Is we've got a balance sheet that's got no debt on it, so we can leverage that as well. And the value generation, therefore, is all going to be geared towards the equity. We've also taken a growth asset, as I said earlier, but they're in the right metals. As you said, copper clearly is going to be a key and a fundamental metal for the whole of society going forward. And we, probably see this leg up in the copper prices we've all experienced and enjoyed, frankly, for the last few months. Hopefully that's here to stay, because I think the market's finally woken up to the fact that we've got a real structural deficit in the copper market. And then the gold aspects of this is also a nice kicker. It gives you a little bit of a risk hedge in there, plus also that byproduct credit is going to keep costs down at Chibougamau, which will mean that the entire portfolio is really going to be generating cash once we get that into production as well. So overall, like I said, just reiterate, win-win, cash generation, no real dilution to shareholders. So all of the equity value that we derive through this acquisition filter right through to the shareholder base.
So this transaction appears to be about more than adding another asset. It's about strengthening the company's growth pipeline and positioning it for the next phase of development. Thank you so much for your time today, Gavin.
Thank you so much, Ricky.
Once again, that is Gavin Farrar, CEO of Central Asia Metals. For more on the company and the proposed transaction, visit centralasiametals.com. That's all for this episode of The Watch List. I'm Ricky Lee. Make good choices today.